Hello, and welcome to the Hypno Travelers on the Magical Psyche Highway podcast. That's right. Your host and tour guide is Scott Prevett, a healer, hypnotist, and a magician. And your bus driver is Jason Gobelli, also a hypnotist, an entrepreneur, and a spiritual guide. Disclaimer, neither Jason, Scott, or any of our guests here today are licensed professional psychologists or psychiatrists. So please don't make any changes to any medication or treatments that you are currently on based on the conversation that you hear here today. Just hop on the bus and enjoy the ride. Trip with us on the Inner Revelation bus. That's right.
Hi, I'm Jason. Welcome back to the Hypno Travelers on the Magical Psyche Highway. We are excited today. We got a great guest, don't we, Scott?
Heck yeah, one from all the way across the pond.
That's right. We got Kabuika Kamunga. Kabuika, how are you?
I am well. I just don't know how one would call the Atlantic Ocean a pond.
That's correct.
We're so glad to have you here. We're excited to have you. So let's get started. Kabuika, who are you and what do you do?
So, where to begin? I always feel it's good to begin at the beginning. I was raised in the rainforest of the Democratic Republic of Congo, and that has changed my views of the world. The connection with the natural world is just amazing. And so from Congo, I come to the US, do all my studies, my master's here, and I work as a journalist. I am also an entrepreneur, a healer, and an author.
Nice. So this healing, Kabuika, how do you heal people? What do you do? What's that all about?
I think healing is everything. It's absolutely every aspect of life. So one of the things that I do, just one tiny bit of the things that I do, I help people develop inner peace within themselves. To really heal someone, you have to get rid of the tension, the stress, and the body just wants to be able to rest in order to heal itself. In many cases, that's all it needs. And so I start with that. I start with people learning, teaching them how to meditate, to go inward into themselves, find themselves, stabilize themselves, and then we go from there to go further. That's the very first step. Otherwise, I'm just talking to a wall.
Nice. Well, I noticed in some of the stuff that we've studied with you that you work a lot with your ancestors and you get a lot of that techniques from, the African culture. Tell us about that.
Yes. So I have to say I came a long way. Africa being the birth of humanity, we kind of lost ourselves through the decades, the centuries of colonization, where the African knowledge system had to go underground in order to survive, literally underground in order to survive, because all our healers, our shaman, and anyone, our scientists were being targeted. Many of them were taken into slavery and shipped to the US, to Italy, all over the Americas, just to harvest the knowledge from Africa. So a lot of the African healers, the spiritual masters had to go underground. And now you have to, basically, I had to go underground in order to find it again. So it was kind of a huge journey going back to my roots, going back to my heritage, and understanding what I saw when I was growing up in the rainforest, what I understood, and finding it back again and realizing this is the way to go. And it has to be done, not just by me, but by other people who also need it all over the world. So the work I do now is basically working with professionals of African descent who are struggling in their own ways. I mean, they could be making high earnings. However, they're not building true wealth, especially legacy wealth, the ones from generation to come wealth. And And when they're working a lot, they're also destroying something that is even more precious, which is their health. So it's working with them to reconnect them with their roots, their heritage, with their ancestors, and letting them know you have an entire network, a support system that is there just for you. It's only up to you to tap into it. And you can learn, it's very easy. You tap into it so you can harness it and then go back into the world with an army in a way. And it's so much easier, so much simpler to do it that way. You don't have to struggle and destroy yourself. We want you to be healthy and wealthy.
Nice. So now, how do you help someone tap into that energy of health and wealth? How do we get tapped into that?
It all depends on where they are. Some people say they're very much in their brain, so I have to bring them into their body, into themselves first. That's why I start with the meditation. I'm a certified transcendental meditation teacher, and I start with that. And they don't have to learn from me. They can learn anywhere in the world. There are centers all over the world. They can learn that. And then they bring that practice so they can regularly get rid of tension and be more grounded into themselves. Once they're at that level, that's where the one-on-one coaching begins. I start to revisit the history of the world as they knew it, but revisit it from a totally different perspective, a totally different lens, an underground story aspect of it. There is a proverb in an African proverb, and I don't know which country it was from, that says it is the person, so you have a hunter who hunts the lion, but it is the person who tells the story who is the winner. So right now, for so many centuries, somebody else has been telling the story of what actually happened in the hunt. It wasn't the lion, it was the hunter, a Western perhaps hunter who told the story. And I did this and I did that. But that's just an illusion. That's just the illusion that the system is giving you of that aspect of the story. Now it's about deconstructing that by showing what really happened during the hunt.
So
And that
go ahead.
and that helps the people start to realize, oh my goodness, what I thought was this actually didn't even make sense. I don't know if I should dare, but I just wanted to give one tiny little example of how I deconstruct the system. One of them is you all grew up thinking that Adam and Eve were the first people on the earth, right? Correct? Let me think about that. Adam and Eve, the first people on the earth. And yet, at the same time, you know that humans, began in Africa, correct?
Go ahead.
That means it is impossible for Adam and Eve to be the first people on earth because there were people in Africa way before them. And there's the whole story to share about that.
Mm. So how is it that you help people get in touch with these ancestors, the ancient ancestors with all of this wisdom?
We have a saying in Africa is that life is simply a series of codes. Once you learn the codes, then you learn how to do it. It's quite simple. It's like somebody saying, oh, you see that door over there? On the other side of the door is that beautiful garden that you wanted to see and go and rest and so forth. And all I have to teach you, oh, you just go to the door, you hold on to the handle, and you turn it this way, this much, and it opens for you. So it's about learning the different codes to get to the next level.
So
And
it's like a video game. Cheat codes for life.
love that imagery of a video game. But yeah, it is like a video game if you if you want to say it that way. That's kind of funny. It's simple. It's like learning how to walk. It's like, so instead of learning how to walk across the room, I'm teaching you, you're learning how to, I'm using words in English, they don't quite relate. You're learning how to time travel. Doesn't quite make sense to say it. To travel across space to another universe who are happening at the same time as the universe in this physical world. So those are the things you learn, and it's simply about learning. It's quite simple. It's about being dedicated and passionate about it, and it's also being determined to get what you want. You find out there's a problem in your life. This is not working. I want something different for myself, and I want something different for my family, for my communities, and so forth. One of the things that, and that's actually a personal example that I'm giving, is I've been in the US for almost 30 years, back and forth. I've lived across the world, but at some point I was in the US 20 years, 10 years, and so forth. And I noticed that while being in the US and sometimes working two jobs very hard from morning to evening, two different jobs, and I would send money back home to feed my siblings, to make sure that they ate more than one meal a day. And then you do that after 15 years, same situation. You do that after 20 years. The situation, the economy on the ground did not improve. After 30 years, and you realize, it's the system that is not working for them. We have to come up with something different. At first, I was like, I have to create the system all by myself because I know the one that I'm looking at, the economic system, the everything system is not working, the political system as well. But then I realized by learning and searching and getting in touch with spiritual masters in Central Africa, that there are already systems that are working very well. It's simply teaching people how to use them.
So, what led you on this journey in order to get in touch with all these spiritual masters in this journey to spiritual healing?
Here, I'm going to blow my nose. I guess it was what led me in this journey was my own suffering and seeing the suffering around me, seeing the suffering of my siblings. I have 20 siblings, by the way, living.
Wow.
Your parents understand what causes that, right?
Sorry?
I said your parents do understand what's causing that, right?
What's causing?
Never mind. It was a bad joke. I said your parents do understand why you have 20 kids, right? Or you have 20 brothers and sisters, right?
I don't understand that joke.
It's okay.
So what was the question again?
No, what led you to get in touch with all your spiritual masters in the spiritual healing that you got?
Suffering. My own personal suffering, the suffering of the people around me, of the communities far and far away, it simply did not add up. It didn't make sense to be in this world and be suffering like that. Suffering, and then I realized a lot of our suffering was based on ignorance. It's not an insult. I'm also including my own suffering. I suffered when I didn't know there was a solution for what was going on. I suffered when I didn't know there was even a name for what I was going through. You could be totally depressed, but when you don't even realize that you're going through a depression, you don't know. You're just in the moment and you're suffering and you don't realize there's actually a way out. So I went through a lot of that. And always the need to heal was always there. Even though my parents were Western trained, my dad was was the first pediatrician of the country, of the Democratic Republic of Congo. My mom was a registered nurse. Healing was always at the core, but I also knew when true healing wasn't happening and needed to be done.
So when did you have that aha moment? Like, wow, I'm going to be able to help people. I'm going to be able to make a difference. When did that come about and how did that happen?
Good question. I don't know if I had one aha moment, maybe a series of little ones leading me somehow to where I am right now. One of them was decide not to go to medical school. And I had a full scholarship to go. But I was like, this is not true healing. And I know that with every cell of my being, I just knew it. But what is it that I want? Where do I want to go? And it was a struggle because I knew what was not it, and I didn't quite know yet what was it. So it's by going to Congo. As a journalist, I go and do report. And last year, for example, I was in the eastern part of Congo where there's conflicts with multinationals funding war on the eastern part of Congo in order to bring out the cobalt that we use in all those electric car, all the batteries that we have all run on cobalt, which 50% of the world reserve is right in Congo. So I went to do a report on that and talking to people and talking always the human stories of what is happening, what are they going through in their lives. And a lot of them had also learned to meditate, to practice transcendental meditation. And I wanted to see the impact on their day-to-day, on their health, physical health and mental health. It was quite amazing. I did publish an article on that. And it's during one of those travels where you travel on motorcycles, on dirt roads, going back and so forth, that I met this young man and started talking with him. It's probably I was doing a podcast at the time too, and he was helping me with that. That's when I realized he was actually trained to, there are no Western words for it. He was trained he was connected with the ancestors, and his mission was to train other people of African descent also get connected with their ancestors. So I got initiated through the process of doing that. So it's not it's like an apprenticeship, in a way. Um, and that's when I realized, oh my gosh, this is so important. It can't be just in Africa. It also has to be helping people outside in the diaspora, the diaspora all over the world. So that's why I work now with people of African descent in the US to begin with, but anywhere in the diaspora eventually, where I help them because they also struggle. They also have their struggles. So I help them reconnect with their heritage, reconnect with the network, the incredible resources that are there for them, literally there for them. The ancestors and all the spirits are like waiting for them to just say one word, and right there, they'll like give it to you. There it is, like at a split moment. But they have to be aware of it to even ask for it. So I teach them how to be aware of it first and then ask if they want. But it's usually there even before they ask.
Nice. So this guy helped you with this. So who are some of your other mentors? Who are some of those people in your life that shaped who you are?
They come in different shapes and forms. um, a lot of my mentors are actually animals. They teach me. I mean, I'm about to do something, and then I don't know, an animal, a rabbit will just appear out of the blue, or a deer, I'm thinking of the animals that I see around here, will stop by the side of the road. I mean, right by the side of the road with huge antlers, and then stare at me while I go by. And then I'll be like, what was I thinking right before they appeared? That's what I was thinking. Oh, thank you for the message. They're all guiding you. Everything in nature is guiding you. You simply have to be able to open your eyes and your ears to see the messages. Um, the human mentors, who definitely my dad is one of them, Dr. Kamunga, just the sheer determination he went through from um, a little kid in a village who had never seen a Black doctor, medical doctor, and decided, I'm going to be a medical doctor when there was none existing in Congo at the time, which was under colonization. And not only that, there was no medical school in Congo at the time. And he flew to Belgium and became a doctor and became the first pediatrician of the country. So that sheer determination and always going for what is good for you, never settling for, oh, this, you can do that because it's good enough. It's what you have around you. No, you have to go for what you really want, whether it exists already yet or not. That's what you need to go through. Because just the fact that you have the idea in you, that idea didn't just come out of the blue. That idea is like the universe or the ancestors talking to you and saying, this you could do. This would be fantastic to do. People would love that. And you're like, oh, I just had an idea. Yeah, you just had an idea, but your whole network is like supporting you, giving you that message to go for it. And definitely you need to go for it. So my dad is one of them. Another mentor is actually my professor from school. When I first came to the US to study, I was in Chicago, and then the economic system in Congo collapsed. And my dad ran out of money to support my studies. So that's when I started to work, double jobs, and so forth. And then I and I was also doing fundraising for my family so they could eat more while I was working two jobs. And that's how one of my letters, fundraising letter, got to a professor from Roosevelt University, who's in Chicago, who said, I want to see you. And I started to teach him, give him French lessons and so forth. He quickly became my mentor and paid a full scholarship for me to finish my bachelor in for my undergrad studies in chemistry. So it was just such an amazing person. This is someone of Jewish descent from New York State, and he was supporting a whole group of African students simply because he believed in doing good. Such an inspiration for me.
Nice, nice. Now, I noticed you said animals were a mentor too, but isn't your book about being afraid of animals?
That's the whole point. That's the thing. We don't have to be one way. We can always change. So here you have this little girl who is in the rainforest, growing up in the rainforest, living in the rainforest. And I was scared of every single thing moving. Uh, that's what it was. I was just scared. I was scared. We had a dog. I was scared of the dog. We had a cat, and I would like walk around the wall, along the wall, not to touch the cat that was in the living room. We had, cockroaches, flying cockroaches. I would be screaming out of my bedroom whenever I saw them. So I had all those fear simply because I didn't understand the animals in front of me. I mean, the dog with the sharp teeth, I thought they were vampires, the teeth like that. I was like, oh my God, I'm not getting. So it took finally getting in touch with one animal that was so close to me as a human to to be able to get over the fear and have other feelings alongside. So my sister got a monkey. She brought one day a monkey. And I was like, what is this world going down to? A monkey in this house? I was just like, the adults are crazy. That was just like, and she brought the monkey. And then the first thing the monkey did was steal a banana. Bananas used to be my favorite food. You do not touch my bananas. That monkey stole my banana. And that was it. I wasn't afraid of the monkey. I was just angry at the monkey. And so we came back and forth like this, like two siblings just fighting all the time. And the book relates to that. The book talks about this relationship. And it's via this relationship that I actually got over my fear of animals.
Another story you were talking about, Kabuika?
Yes, I was thinking of I think at this time of in the world, we realize that we have to teach the African knowledge to people. You have elders who have all that knowledge and are just passing away. We have a saying in Africa is when an elder dies, an entire library vanishes. And whenever I hear of an elder person dying, I'll just cry, no matter if they knew them personally or not, simply because you realize, oh my gosh, all that knowledge just disappeared and we haven't passed it on to the younger generations. So the ancestors realized how much was needed for people to learn the knowledge wherever they are in the world. And this, so to just go out, whether the people are in Chicago, in Florida, in California, they need to learn as well. And so I remember speaking with a young man, African-American young man in Washington, D.C., who said, I mean, I would love to reconnect with my ancestors, but I don't even know them. And besides, I've been gone for more than 400 years. Who am I? And I gave him the example of a boy who leaves the house and comes back 40 years later. Will the mother still consider the boy her son? Of course she would. I mean, it's like 40 years or 4 days has no effect. This person is my son and will remain my son. This is how ancestors see every single person. They see this person in Washington, D.C., and they know this is our descendant. We have to help him. But how do we make him hear and listen to us when he doesn't know how to hear us? And that's my job, to go and teach this young man in Washington, D.C., how to connect with his ancestors so they can help him in whatever it is he's doing in his life. They are right there. He has his own, I don't like the word army, it has that military sounding of it, but he has his own team ready to help him at any time. And I help people reconnect with their roots, their ancestors, for that very reason. That's how we will transform our communities. That's how we'll transform every single one's lives, by having this full knowledge to live our life fully. We need that knowledge, and I'm just there to pass it on.
Nice, nice. Okay, Scott, you're up. Scott, come on, give us some questions here.
So you say you help people see things from your perspective. Have you thought of writing a book so you can help the masses see things from your perspective?
It is my perspective, you're right. However, it's not just my perspective. It's from the perspective of the lions. Remember the story of the hunt of the lion and the hunter? Now it's looking at the perspectives from the lion, what really happens. So this perspective that I share with people is a perspective of the Africans. What is the African's perspective on the Bible? What is the African perspective on this, on the economic system, on that, on that? What is the economic system, the ancient African economic system looks like? So it's really that. The second book that I have two children's books, and this one, Kabuika Wants to Make New Friends, will be published it's already published in English. We'll be publishing it in French, in Lingala, in Chiluba, in Kikongo, in a few months. We're doing a special book launch in Central Africa for that. So that book is actually all about embracing diversity. You have this little girl coming from Congo going to Chicago, and she's different. She eats different food, her hair is different, she smells differently because she eats different food. Everything is different about her. And then you have the kids in her class who are looking at her and it's like, why is she so different? Even her accent is different. And she goes through that, and this girl wants to make new friends, but she also likes her culture, her heritage, and so forth. And it's only by sharing that deep aspect of her, which is her family tree, where she talks about her grandfather in the village, she talks about her siblings, she talks about this and that. It's only by talking about this that the other students realize, oh my gosh, I also have a grandfather, I also have this. They start to see the similarities. So that book is actually how I bring the topic to the children, but at the same time, I'm bringing it to the parents too, because the parents are the ones who are going to help the children know and write their family tree, their genealogy. So the whole family has to get into that activity to bring their own genealogy, their own family tree, just as the character in the book has shared hers. So that's the book. Kabuika Wants to Make New Friends. It's all about cultural identity and sharing that proudly. And that's how you make real, true friends, by being you.
Nice. That's a lot of lessons for everyone, not just
Yeah.
kids. It's great.
Yes. And you know what prompted it is doing a book tour a, quite a few years back at a school. It was a British school. Um, and one of the teachers were like, even in kindergarten, the kids are already separating each other, saying, oh, she's different. No, we're going to play with that one. And I was like, wow, I was like, no, we have to play with each other and make amazing friends while still being ourselves.
Remember Ronald Reagan, when he was president, said one of the funniest things. He said that it's probably going to take aliens for us to arrive to bring humans together as one, because they're going to need something to be against.
Did he
So,
actually say that?
He did.
That's
He did.
funny.
so here I got something for you now. How do our viewers get a hold of you?
Great question. Let's see. Well, I'm on Facebook, I'm on TikTok, Instagram, and LinkedIn. So you can always private message me on any of on those platforms, and I'll be there. And it's usually my name, Kabuika Kamunga. LinkedIn, Kabuika Kamunga. Instagram, Twitter is just Kabuika. I think I was the first Kabuika ever in the world to get the Twitter account. And Facebook, Kabuika Kamunga as well.
Beautiful, beautiful. So, Scott, any other questions?
Kabuika, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day and sharing it with us. We really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. And I forgot to add, you can always find both of my books. I used to be afraid of animals, and Kabuika Wants to Make New Friends. You can find it on Amazon. And of course, I used to be afraid of animals is in different languages. It's in French. It's also in Chiluba. You can buy any version you would like and share that. Yes. Thank you so
Beautiful.
much for having me here.
Well, we
I
got a
really
big
enjoyed
question
it.
for you before we go, so we're not
Oh,
saying
yeah.
bye yet. This is it, Kabuika. What's your
Okay.
words of wisdom for our viewers?
When they have an idea in their mind, it's really the universe putting that idea in them and asking them to be the ones to realize it. No one else but them to do it. So, however crazy that idea might be, however wild and unusual and never been seen before, it doesn't matter. You've been chosen to realize it. So go on and do it. You will have all the support you need to realize that idea. You just have to begin. You have to start one step at a time, and all the support will come together to help you and give you even more momentum to make it happen.
Nice.
Nice.
Beautiful. Well, it's been wonderful, Kabuika. We've been glad to travel down your magical psyche highway. We certainly loved and enjoyed our little interview. Scott, anything else you want to add before we go?
What a great show it's been.
That's right. Kabuika, do you have anything you want to say?
I wanted to say it's always a pleasure to talk about the knowledge, the wisdom that exists in this world, and especially this one that comes from Africa, but it is available to so many people. And it's always an honor to be able to talk about it so that more people can learn about it and enhance their own lives and their communities' lives. So thank you for that honor.
Thank you,
Thank
Kabuika,
you.
but the honor's ours. We've had the honor of traveling down your magical psyche highway today. So for our viewers out there, if you like us, give us the thumbs up. If you think we're assholes, we don't care. Just give us a thumbs down. We're glad you're here. We hope you come back. We want to see you next week. Please share it with your friends. Follow us, subscribe, whatever. We just want to see you again. Thanks for coming.
Wow, what a trip. Thanks for taking that journey with us today. Please like us, share us, and enlighten us with your views of the topics we drove into today. We appreciate you and love reading your comments. Thanks again, and we hope to see you back on the bus next week. That's right.
What's